My name is Victor Ehikhamenor. I'm from Edo State in Nigeria. I've been practicing art for well over, I would say professionally over 20 years now that I've been painting. I'm also a writer. I have a new book out which is called Excuse Me. It's my observation about Nigeria and also my travel abroad. I used to live in the US, went to school here, my undergrad here, then left and went for my master's in the US. And there I was practicing art, painting as well and everything. Then about 5 years ago I decided to come back. You have more to contribute here. I have more to contribute in my country. So we started as part of a new newspaper, which is Next newspaper. So now I just paint and write, and I decided to start using charcoal because I wanted to see how the material first of all will react in canvas, because usually charcoal is for paper. I tell history, I tell stories with my paintings, just the same way I tell stories in my fiction and in non-fiction is the same way I transfer it to my paintings. So history kind of repetitive. You think something has happened before, it's not going to happen again. It does happen, but it happens in different formats. So with this particular piece, I call the Scramble for the Big Afro Mama, which is a reference to the Berlin West African Conference, which was held, and North Africa was represented. There was no representative of Africa there. So the Western guys just decided, okay, one day we're just going to defy this African big mago. You take some parts, you take some, West goes to, some part of the West Africa, Sub-Sahara goes to Britain, French, you take the other side, So when you look at this particular piece, which is huge, there's a woman in the middle of it, and you have woman representing, like, here woman is representing Africa for me, where you have all kinds of hands coming to it and everything. So I take from history, I take from Bible, I take from folk tales past. My whole career is based on memories, bringing memories to be able to interpret today. What have you seen before? What are our ancestors' ways of life? What did they leave behind for us to now interpret what is happening today? And when you look at that, when you take a deep look at what has happened before, you begin to understand what is happening now, because pretty much everything has happened before, but in different format. This particular piece is it's about Christopher Okibo, who is a poet, and a well-respected Nigerian poet who died during the Nigerian Civil War on the Biafran side. He was a renowned poet. So this is a silhouette of him which I made. It's like the side view of him. So now what I'm doing is I've created this print by creating a silhouette of his head and filling it up with labyrinths, because he wrote so many things. His book, he wrote about labyrinths, he wrote about political things. His poetry is quite potent and everything. And after I did this, another scholar, Obi Wankama, used the piece for his cover, which is the book cover. That is the name of this poet whose silhouette you see here. And his name is Christopher Okibo. So some of his poems have influenced my work over time. Not just poetry. I wouldn't even say he has influenced me in the area of poetry, but I see that every now and then, because of the way I work, which are labyrinths, I see him influencing me more as a painter than a poet. So this piece particularly is for him. These are some works on paper, ink and pen. So the same symbols, same faces. This is self-reflection. Faces inside faces, inside faces, inside faces, infinitely, you know. So you have again from the face series, you know, so this is a different one. This is working with the stained glass motif, like churches, old churches and cathedrals, referencing history, you know, so this particular piece is based on our light situation in the country. Electricity, we don't have it that all the time, you know. So I did this piece in 2009, and I was working in the studio and the lights went off and I was extremely frustrated and everything. So the next day I started hunting for a used one. You know, we have spent so much money on trying to fix. Government keep pumping a whole lot of money into electricity every year, and nothing still comes out of it. So I'm using batteries, which is inverter, because if I put on the generator outside, it would be so noisy and we won't hear each other. It would be so noisy and everything. So that is what I'm referencing in this political statement, that, you know, we spend money all the time for this project, yet we are not getting headway with it, you know. So this is small generator, which is called a better pass my neighbor, which is, you know, a smaller form of light generating machine. Then I have the different currencies, different Nigerian money over the years attached to it, you know. These are old currency, actual currencies that I bought from the market, like used market. Then I have written pieces on it. Then there are information, stable power supply facility in Nigeria, you know, 1968, Kanji Dam, Jeba, Shiroro, Afan. These are names of power plants that have been commissioned, and the first one was commissioned in 1968. The first one in this information that is here, 1968. That's like 45 years ago, and we're still grappling with stuff, and we still haven't gotten headway. You know, so that is this whole piece and everything. Then I write, you know, corruption, that this country is not for sale, but I scratched out the not and say, actually this country is for sale because they come, take the money and nothing is done. You know, so that's what this piece is talking about. Then you have 100% collected upfront. You know, they collect money, you know, but we don't get any result for it and everything, you know. So I write this thing. This project has been abandoned. That's what you find in some of the project sites and all those things that are, you know, it might look like, okay, it's a wrong spelling, you know. So this project has been abandoned, but because of the people that work there, you know, so they might just stop there. It's also a reference to nothing gets completed because the sentence and the spelling of the word is not complete. So it's all layered with meanings that, okay, you know, even the spelling of the project has been abandoned is incorrect as well, and all that. So you have mask. I create different things, you know, frightening mask on the body of it and all that, you know. So, and this is like wall, you know. Then you have kickback here. Kickback is like, okay, you pay for something, you know, you have to pay other people again to be able to do it. So it's heavily laden with words and things that are happening that are not supposed to be happening, you know. So that is the whole idea behind this particular piece. This is where you put in the fuel. I mean, we are oil producing country and everything. That's our flag, and that is our flag. And put it back again. And that is that. That's it, you know, so to generate power. All right. this is creating another work entirely, because what I do now is I mount this here. This is how the work looks like. This is where it's gonna be. So I pretty much devise this method, so that what this does for me is that I can still make works with very minimal. I don't have to have paint to make works. So I call it perforation, which is a mixture of painting and perforation to perforate something, to point holes in something. So every line here is almost like using a pencil. This could have become a finished work, but it's not, because I have to go back and point hole in all of it and everything. Then at the end of the day, what people see is this front here. So, but it also has to be on special paper. This is handmade paper. I can't use any other paper. If I use any other, it doesn't have the same reaction and the same feeling that I'm looking for. The first set that I did, I was doing it on random places and everything. I realized that one day I have to make, like, I can create two works out of, by doing this is the same effort. So I started painting plywood that are good and they can withstand time. So I do multiple ones on them, so it becomes a different kind of work. So this is the plate for this. So when I finish this one, I can put this on top of it, so I create another plate on top of it, becomes completely, totally different work. So there are two works that are going on, really. Do you recognize this? I'm glad to be back to Lagos as an artist, because it fits. I feed off the energy. It's a lot of energy. I can't stay away from Lagos for that long anymore, so everywhere becomes pretty much boring for me because of the energy in the place. So I feed off of that energy.